Just finished a really good workout with the shoulders, the chest, and some arms. And I just wanted to come on here to talk about some of the things that I'm doing differently this year in terms of my training and how I'm feeling out my progress. A lot of the times back then, I would used to stop a set because I would feel kind of perceived pain and burn within the set, which would cause me to stop. But this year I've been more conscious of making sure that when I'm doing my sets, that the set is stopping not because of the burn or the pain that's causing me to quit. It's that the reps are actually intense enough to cause the reps to actually slow down involuntarily. And I've just been more conscious about that because when it comes to what reps are actually stimulating growth, it's not so much the burn, it's not so much the pain, it's actually that your muscles can no longer contract with as much intensity and velocity as it does compared to the start of the set. So when the reps start to slow down, then that's when you know the reps are starting to be more stimulating. So that's something I've been more conscious about this year. But doing that, it requires that your technique is good, right? It requires that the reps are slowing down such that your technique is still standardized. Because if your technique starts to go to shit and your reps continue to be kind of in a good speed because your form is breaking down, then that doesn't really count, right? You want your form to be locked in throughout the entire set, standardized reps, meaning every rep should look the same. In order for the reps to start to slow down, then that's when you know that that set is stimulating. So even though what the science says right now is that anywhere from 5 to 30 repetitions in any given set is stimulating, I tend to find that higher rep sets tend to cause more fatigue. So when we're talking, sets above 12, 15, I'd much rather push a set close to failure when it comes to a set of between like 6 to 10 rather than push 15 to 20, right? Because when you get into that 15 to 20 range, then the burn that you feel, the fatigue that you feel within that set, that metabolic stress will start to increase much more. That lactic acid, that's going to increase much more given that the reps are high compared to when you're doing a lower rep set with similar intensity. So this is why I choose to stay typically within 6 to 10 rep range for any given working set, and that's going to provide me still very much stimulating reps, but not so much fatigue and burn, which is causing me to slow down. Also, today is January 8th, so we are 8 days into the new year, and we are currently 3 pounds down. So the goal with me is I'm trying to lose between around 1.8 to 2 pounds per week for the next at least 4 or 5 months. Now, starting off, it's going to be a lot of water weight, so I'm expecting that. So even though I'm down 3 pounds, most likely it's not 3 pounds of fat. Some of it is going to be water. The glycogen stores within my body and muscles are gonna be a little bit more limited. So we're just gonna keep an eye on that and stay on track with about 2 pounds per week. So far, so good.
All right, welcome to week 2. We are on our shoulder day, which is our push day B here. And I started off nice and fresh. I wanted to do our cable lateral raise first thing in order to maximize my effort and intensity onto the side delts. And this is a variation that I've been really falling in love with recently. I tried to push the overload today, the progressive overload, onto that first set. So I tried to hit a set of 8, which I did not manage to get. I got about 7.5 reps. And then on the second set, I actually just raised that pin up just a little bit higher. And I was using a bilateral stance instead of like a staggered stance there. And I was able to just edge out this last set of 8 here successfully. So I had to double check the weight there just to make sure that it was right. But yeah, mission success on that set. And then we moved on to a barbell seated overhead press. I was able to work up 10 pounds over last week, so 195 pounds here. Planning to go for a set of 8, and then my guy Leo jumps in and he gets me to do one more. So you got to do it, right? You got to hit that extra rep if that spotter is there telling you to. So we got the 9. So happy with that progress. And we moved on next to our single chest movement for the day, which is just this seated cable chest fly. My chest was still a little bit sore, surprisingly, from our Monday session, but I was still able to push the weight on this. I added about a half notch up, so my chest felt quite a good pump from just a couple sets of those. And we transitioned back into our delts here, this time hitting our rear delts. Same variation as last week with the cuffs on the lat pull down machine. And again here was just able to add 5 pounds to the stack and still get a really nice connection. This week especially felt my rear delts firing extra hard. And you can kind of see my cupping marks over there. Then we moved on to the front delt. So we hit our side delt, we hit a press, we hit our rear delt. And now we're going to isolate our front delt a bit more. Although I like the amount of work I get in the front delts using a press, I still find it valuable to isolate the front delt, as I think that my delt especially can still use a lot more work. So today's progression was just an increase of 5 pounds on the dumbbell, still using my leaning on the rack method for stability. And so today we had 35 pounds. I think I repped this for 12 reps. Typically I find the shoulders, especially when you're isolating them with various raises, can withstand a little bit more volume, and it's a little bit easier on the shoulder joint itself too when the weight is not insanely high. So yeah, these felt good, and had to get a little bit of posing post shoulder pump. So I'm eventually going to be practicing my men's physique posing pretty much on the daily when time comes, but right now it's a little early. So moved on to our tricep movement, got the cable tricep extension here, had to full stack this and add the 5 pounder. That was the progression today, and these felt quite good. I hit this for a set of 10, and not quite at my peak yet to when I was last year when I was benching heavy, but felt great. And now we have our leg session, which I actually switched the order. So I actually hit legs on Wednesday and the push day B was on Thursday, but decided to throw in the legs after my shoulder session here because wasn't that many exercises that I hit. First exercise here was our hack squat, and these were tough, not gonna lie. I got in my sets of 8 here with an extra 10 pounds loaded. So I don't count the machine weight because it's unknown. So I just count the 300 pounds of added weight on the machine. And I hit 2 working sets here. Followed that up with our Romanian deadlifts. Now I've been doing these with a little bit more knee bend at the bottom. And that's supposed to hit our glutes a little bit more and take the tension off the hamstrings a bit at the bottom, to allow for those glutes to kind of dominate a little bit more. But just an extra 10 pounds here, I believe, from last week as well. And then just a simple leg extension. Again, trying to bump the weights up every single week, if not the reps. So got the blue pad here just to give me extra range of motion at the bottom, and hit this comfortably. I think this was 215. For I think I hit 10 there. And then we had a movement that I'm not quite used to doing, at least here, is the single leg hamstring curl. I used the leg extension machine for this. This was This was created, or I guess found out by another one of our trainers, and yeah, it kind of feels pretty good actually. So turning this leg extension into kind of a 2-in-1 machine. Yeah, but that was pretty much the leg workout. Super simple, just 4 main movements. Did not include a single leg movement here, but probably will next week, depending on how the energy is.